Okay, checking sound levels, looking good, voices engaged. All right, I think we're ready to record.
Coming
up on this episode of Haff in the Morning, why Facebook's war on fake news sites may be a losing battle. Could Chelsea be running for Congress? And why Obama likely won't be pardoning Clinton. Details on these stories, plus a whole lot more, awaits you on this episode of Haff in the Morning.
Who I would have been calls out from the grave.
Come. Flowers, is there a John Luck Pickard here?
And a good Monday morning, my friends. Welcome to another exciting episode of Haff in the Morning for Monday, November 14th, 2016. I'm your host, Joe Hafner, hence Haff in the Morning for this beautiful day. And glad you could take time to listen to this program and my commentary on current and political events and social events and whatnot, and also about what's going on in our respective lives. Wish to encourage you to drop me an email at haffinthemorning@gmail.com. That's HAFFinthemorning@gmail.com. HAFFinthemorning@gmail.com. Haff in the Morning. And also, if you haven't done so already, check out my website at tinyurl.com/HafterMedia. tinyurl.com/HafterMedia. That's where you can get your customized news page, sports page, weather page, my sponsors page, plus a whole lot more, including links to the Haff in the Morning Facebook page. tinyurl.com/HafterMedia. Well, welcome to the program, my friends, and we'll talk about what's going on in the exciting world of planet Earth here in just a moment. But first of all, did you see the supermoon this morning? I didn't see it much beyond 3 o'clock. I got off work at 3 a.m. and saw a little bit of it. It hadn't got into position here yet. If I'm not mistaken, it was close to 5:30 our time before it would get into supermoon position. And, well, I had fallen asleep by then. I was very tired and wasn't feeling very good after yesterday's program. I don't know what it was, what it was, the creeping crud or just mild exhaustion, but not the most exciting way or best way to spend your birthday, when you feel sick. But it's not the first time I've been a little puny on my birthday. But especially one I haven't been sick for a number of years. But we got through it. Nothing major. It's just kind of feeling out of kilter. Your body is chilling. And as a matter of fact, when I got home from work Saturday night, my roommate was in Kansas City taking a mutual friend to the airport for an emergency flight. And so I got home and had an empty house except for his dogs here. Well, after I got done walking his two dogs, came back in, and I just got that cold shiver that you get when you feel like you're about to catch a fever or fighting a fever. And I fought that feeling, and no matter what I did, I could not seem to warm up. Now, granted, I was wearing some light shorts, but the coldness felt different. It felt more like coming from inside my body, like something that shut off the heat down in my legs. And I did my best to try to warm up, and I got into covers, and, just like, okay, if I go to sleep, I can fight this off, and I'll be good as new. When I woke up yesterday morning, I felt a little better, but I was still under the weather. So I felt out of sorts all night last night. And thankfully, I had a mild night at work. Nothing major went wrong. Hopefully not. Anyway, so... and as you can tell, I'm fighting a light coughing spell right now, and I'm hoping that it's not a cold, because it's the last thing I really want to catch. I haven't had a cold, I kid you not, in probably 10 years. The last one I can remember was when I worked at Merit's Research, and that was 11 years ago. That was the last time I remember having a cold. Now, I've been a little sick since then, namely allergies. The biggest thing was diverticulitis 6 years ago in late October. And for a moment, I was like, I hope this is not another flare-up. I haven't had a flare-up since I got out of the hospital, but I'm really careful. I try to be careful about what I ingest. And even though I need to lose a lot more weight, because I've gained about 40 to 50 pounds since I got out of the hospital, and the doctor back then was concerned about my weight because I'm borderline hypertension, so I'm working on that and trying to give up the soda, and that is a real struggle. But so far, I haven't had a soda for over 2 days now, and I've made it my resolution not to have any high fructose corn syrup sodas in my 45th year of life. And so far, I'm just a little over a day into it, and am successful at it so far, so we shall see. Okay, well, let's see. What's going on in the news? Couple of sad things here locally. For example, I learned on Saturday that one of my coworkers, his late teenage son, if I'm not mistaken, either late teen or early 20s, I think late teens, mid to late teens, I don't know exactly how old he was, regrettably took his own life over the weekend. I think it was either Friday or early Saturday. I'm not sure what day it was. So that has been on my mind, and that has stirred up some old feelings because I lost a classmate to suicide my junior year of high school, February 13th, 1989. That's a date I will never forget. And then another classmate from college, well, he was, I believe, a year or two behind me. We kind of knew each other. We weren't real close, but we did talk from time to time because he worked in the computer lab when I worked in the library, and oftentimes I'd have to bump him out of the library at closing time. And anyway, he committed suicide not long after I graduated. He was going through a nasty divorce, and the stress just got to him. And then I learned 20 years ago that my paternal grandfather had committed suicide when he was 39 years old. I obviously never knew my paternal grandfather, but that was a deep, dark family secret, and I found out the hard way. I won't get into all the details, but it was quite a gruesome story. And so that's where we go with that. And so my thoughts are with my coworker, who's also an acquaintance and one of those casual friends, just one of those guys that always seems upbeat regardless of the stakes in life. And of course, right now, this has got to be an extremely difficult time for he and the child's mother. So my thoughts are there. And then yesterday afternoon, another coworker, her son was involved in a nasty accident not too far north of here in the neighboring county. And regrettably, it was a DWI-related accident in which this kid allegedly was driving a car while intoxicated, and three teenagers, ended up dying. I think it was a 15-year-old and two 16-year-olds, or something to that effect. And I saw some of her Facebook posts last night, and obviously she's extremely upset. She has mentioned to me before some of his troubles, and Anyway, she left the company that we worked for a few months ago, and so my thoughts are with her as we go through this broadcast together. Okay. Well, with that being said, let's try to lighten this up a little bit, because I do try to keep this program light and carefree as much as I can, but it's also a journal of my life, and occasionally in life, you take the good with the bad. Not to sound like an 80s sitcom theme here, but, that's just part of our existence. So, welcome to a Monday, my friends, the 14th day of November, and I hope you took some time this weekend to relax and decompress, because last week was a bit tense with the presidential election, and especially if you're a Democrat. Your reason to celebrate ended Tuesday night in a surprise election night victory. As a matter of fact, that reminds me, there's an SNL bit I need to play a little bit later on today's show, which pokes fun at last Tuesday's general election. So here's what you need to know to get you up to speed and out the door today. First of all, the Donald Trump White House is starting to take shape. Reince, or is it Reince? Priebus will be his chief of staff, and Stephen Bannon will be his chief strategist. Plus, Trump softened up a bit on some of his harsh promises, like Obamacare. Parts of it are okay, apparently. And as far as the wall across Mexico, the border between the United States and Mexico, though some of it now may be a fence. And, a no deportation force. Wonder what they're going to be doing. Then there's the presidential backlash over the weekend. The first weekend of a Trump America brought even more protests nationwide. One person was shot, 71 arrested in Portland alone. But otherwise, the demonstrations have largely been peaceful and are starting to simmer down a little bit. Sadly, the racist attacks continue, prompting Donald Trump to tell supporters to stop it, which I find is extremely ironic, because for the past year and a half to 2 years, he's done nothing but stir the pot, and now he's like, I got this stove cranked up, and oh no, the knob broke, I can't cool it down. Oh boy, somebody get the pliers. Well, you stir up the crap, Donald Trump. If you can't stand the smell of the crap that you're stirring, you shouldn't be doing that. You should not be doing that. Then there's South Korea's presidential drama of its own. For example, hundreds of thousands took to the streets to rail against Park. Is it Geun-hye? Is that how you pronounce his name? Park Geun-hye? Geun-hye? Well, apparently, South Koreans want her gone because she shared classified information with a confidant who, A, doesn't have the proper security clearance, and B, may be using her access to Park just to make money. Sounds like a traitor to me. Then let's head down to Colombia for a little bit. And let's try this again, shall we? Colombia's government, has signed a revised peace deal with FARC. You may remember that voters shut down the previous deal because they wanted the rebel group punished for its crimes. Well, the new deal requires FARC to pay reparations to victims. And finally today, to get you started, in New Zealand, a huge quake struck New Zealand early this morning, killing at least 2 people, leaving damage the country's president, said may cost billions of dollars to repair. There was a small tsunami as well, but the region has since been given the all-clear. A quake 5 years ago, remember this is in 2011, killed 185 people there, so citizens were rightly freaked out earlier today. Of course, I think any kind of quake will be a little bit freaky, especially when you're not expecting it. And that's kind of the things to bring you up to speed for today. 2 entertainment greats died over the weekend. Singer-songwriter Leonard Cohen died at the age of 82. Learned about that, I believe, on Friday. And Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Leon Russell is dead at the age of 74. I'm basically at that point now where I want to say to 2016, okay, we get it. You can stop now. You've taken a lot of greats this year. And we still have, what, 8 weeks left to go? So, two great artists and composers passed away over the weekend. Still want to move to another country, Americans? Well, it seems extreme, but here are some of the best international cities for American expats or expatriates. There's a list floating around on the internet. And bikers rescue a stranded Bruce Springsteen recently. Motorcycles, the boss, and a little kindness. You know, we definitely needed all of this. And no doubt probably an inspiration for a Bruce Springsteen song or possibly even an album in the future. But apparently he had a little bit of motor trouble, and some kind people came along and helped him out. And let's see here, what else? How about, well, I'll tell you what, we'll play it right now. SNL does an election night skit. And apparently it's the most popular one on the internet right now, at least on YouTube. And granted, it loses some of the translation in being audio only on this program, but so check out the video, but it is still funny to listen to. And give me just a moment to find the right audio, and we'll be ready to roll. Okay, there it is. Anyway, it runs about 5.5 minutes, so here we go, friends.
This is election night in America.
I can't believe after all this, it's gonna finally be over.
I don't know. We'll see. Trump's already got lawyers to fight the results.
Okay, don't even joke about that or I will leave.
Guys, we're about to have our first woman president. Like, this is gonna be a historic night.
Yeah, it might be a historic night, but just don't forget it's a big country.
My friend at the Huffington Post says she wins by 5 points.
Oh, I don't know. My friend at Slate says she'll win by 3.
Oh, well, she'll definitely win the Electoral College, for sure. But I guess there's like a nightmare scenario where he wins the popular vote.
Really? That's your nightmare scenario, huh?
Because of shifting demographics, there might never be another Republican president in this country.
Word. You ever been around this country before?
And we project Kentucky will go to Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, of course he won Kentucky. I mean, that's where all the racists are.
All of them are in Kentucky?
Oh, you know, she got Vermont.
Oh, snap, Vermont! 3 electoral votes. Now, that's a power grab.
Okay, this says Florida is too close to call.
Okay, no, it says too early to call. There's only 1% in.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and call it. Florida's going blue. To Latinos.
To Latinos!
Well, of course he's going to win Ohio. We knew that. But if we can get Pennsylvania, Florida, and North Carolina, we don't even need Ohio.
Yeah, and if the Indians having 4 more runs, they would win a World Series too, dude.
I'm gonna grab a Xanax from the bedroom.
Okay, well, you grab me 6.
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring the whole bottle. How's that?
Look, early returns are always going to be Republican because Republicans go to sleep early. That's just a fact.
I just talked to my brother-in-law at CBS. He says Trump's gonna win Florida.
Word. I guess that the Latinos didn't hear about your toast.
Hey guys, what'd I miss?
Larry, Trump might actually win.
I mean, of course. What are you talking about?
I tried to tell him, Larry.
What is happening? Why are women even voting for him?
Yeah, I don't get you ladies. I mean, the country's 55% women. I mean, if the country was 55% black, well, we'd have tons of black presidents. I mean, Flavor Flav would be president.
Okay, all she has to do is come back and win Wisconsin, come back and win Michigan, come back and win Pennsylvania.
And some of the counties, the urban counties, they're so... Black people vote late.
Yeah, let's hope there's 100,000 of us in Green Bay. Brothers love the Packers.
You never know, guys. Alaska's still out there.
We're now calling Alaska for Donald Trump.
Oh my God. I think America is racist.
Oh, my God. You know, I remember my great-grandfather told me something like that. But, you know, he was like a slave or something.
I can't believe it. Like, why aren't people turning out for Hillary the way they did for Barack Obama?
I mean, maybe because you're replacing a charismatic 40-year-old black guy with a 70-year-old white woman. I mean, that's like the Knicks replacing Patrick Ewing with Neil Patrick Harris.
And Donald Trump has been elected President of the United States.
Yeah, you guys are right. It's a historic night. Don't worry about it. 8 years are gonna fly by.
Yeah, don't worry. It's gonna be all white.
What about undocumented immigrants?
Oh, they're not going nowhere. Come on, man. You act like everybody trying to pick their own strawberries.
This is crazy. I mean, do you even know what it's like to be a woman in this country where you can't get ahead no matter what you do?
Oh, jeez. I don't know. Let me put my thinking cap on that one. I'll get back to it.
Now, come on, guys. Get some rest. You got a lot of big day. You got a big day of moping and writing on Facebook tomorrow.
God, this is the most shameful thing America has ever done.
And there you have it, my friends. A great parody from SNL. Great season. And way to turn it around for presidential election, which we thought, at least I thought for sure Hillary Clinton was going to win, as did many Americans. But never can underestimate the power of stupid people.
I grew up in Dallas, Texas, drinking sodium fluorinated water.
Keep it alive, Alex Jones. Keep it alive, my friend. Well, getting to the matters at hand today, Hillary Clinton will likely not be getting a pardon from President Obama. And if President Obama is to be kept to his word, neither will former CIA Director David Petraeus, convicted Israeli spy Jonathan Pollard, intelligence contractor Edward Snowden, or Private Chelsea Manning, all of whom were accused or convicted of mishandling classified information. The reason is simple. None of them, I repeat, none of them, have applied to the office of the pardon attorney for executive clemency. Yeah. President Obama specifically addressed last-minute presidential pardons at a news conference in August. The process that he put in place is not going to vary depending on how close we get to the election, he said, in response to a question from USA Today. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest confirmed last week that Obama hasn't changed that philosophy after the election. So speculation about a Clinton pardon, already rampant before the election, only intensified after the election of rival Donald Trump as president. At one debate, Trump told Clinton it would be bad for her if he were elected because you'd be in jail. Trump aides have refused to rule out a prosecution after inauguration. That posture could increase pressure on Obama to pardon Clinton, but there is no indication that she has sought a pardon or that she would accept one if granted. So while some pardons have historically been granted on the grounds of innocence, they are often perceived as a sign of guilt. It's not necessary for someone to be charged or convicted of a crime to receive a pardon. President Gerald Ford, remember, pardoned his predecessor Richard Nixon in 1974. Although Nixon had not been charged or convicted of a crime, Nixon resigned in August of 74 after the House Judiciary Committee approved 2 articles of impeachment. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Crouch, a professor at American University and author of The Presidential Pardon Power, said a Clinton pardon would continue a string of late-term clemency abuses by our last 3 presidents. George H.W. Bush pardoned several figures in the Iran-Contra affair. Bill Clinton pardoned Democratic donors, and George W. Bush commuted the prison sentence of Louis Scooter Libby. Vice President Cheney's former chief of staff, who was convicted for lying to the FBI in the investigation of the outing of an undercover CIA operative. So again, if you're worried that President Obama is going to grant Clinton a pardon, it's not likely going to happen. Whether you like him or not, President Obama is typically a man of his word. All right. On to other matters today. Could Chelsea Clinton be getting set to run for a congressional run? The former first daughter, Chelsea Clinton, reportedly is being mooted as a future congressional candidate in some political circles. As a matter of fact, the New York Post reported that Clinton, now 36, is being eyed to take Representative Nita Lowey's place when the 79-year-old incumbent decides to leave the House of Representatives. Lowey represents New York's 17th district, which covers part of Westchester County, including Bill and Hillary Clinton's hometown of Chappaqua. The Post reported that the Clintons have purchased the home next door to theirs, in which they plan to install Chelsea, her husband, and their 2 children. Well, Chelsea Clinton currently lives and is registered to vote in Manhattan. She introduced Hillary Clinton when her mother accepted the Democratic nomination for president at this summer's national convention in Philadelphia. Chelsea herself has not ruled out seeking public office, telling BuzzFeed 2 years ago that she finds it pretty discouraging that none of her friends are thinking about running for public office as a public option. But nevertheless, she could be running for a congressional seat in the near future, and I can see that happening leading up to the midterms. You heard it here first, that Chelsea Clinton running for a congressional district race in 2018. Let's see what else we have for you. Why Facebook's war on fake news may be a losing battle. I kind of addressed this issue late last week on the program, and it has really taken off this year because Facebook has removed a lot of their safety guards in regards to filtering out those questionable news sites. It's impossible to measure the influence that fake news stories that circulate on Facebook had on the presidential election this year. However, Facebook has vowed to do more to help weed out fictitious news, though it may be a losing battle, according to Jeff Jarvis, a media critic and professor at City University of New York. As a matter of fact, in a Facebook post yesterday, CEO Mark Zuckerberg reiterated a point he made earlier in the week at a tech news conference that newsfeed isn't perfect, but he said he doesn't believe it swayed the election. With less than 1% of stories being deemed hoaxes, and only a portion of those political, Zuckerberg said it was an extremely unlikely set of hoaxes that changed the outcome of this election in one direction or the other. While Zuckerberg has said the amount of fake news on Facebook is minuscule, it's not always easy to separate fact from fiction. As a matter of fact, some websites post incendiary headlines and have internet addresses that at first glance may trick readers into thinking they're reading a story from a legitimate news outlet. For example, then there's Trump's social media prowess, especially with Twitter, including a combined tens of millions of followers he boasted about during the campaign trail. And newsfeed relies on various signals, including user feedback, to determine which post may contain inaccurate information and then to reduce their distribution. While it's unclear what concrete steps Facebook plans to take in addition to this, Zuckerberg said they will have to walk a delicate path moving forward to ensure they're not stifling differences of opinion. And that's where you run into a really tricky situation, because it could go either way. It may not, you may even get a legitimate story that get caught in the crosshairs of getting deleted, and later on we find out, well, you know what, that was a legitimate news story after all. All right, well, that's kind of a broad overview of what's on my mind for today as we roll through the program. And I want to say one more thing about my birthday yesterday. I want to thank everybody who went to Facebook and other means to wish me a happy birthday yesterday. It is heartwarming every year to see how many lives that you touch. Some people you barely know, others you've known for a long, long time. And I want to thank each and every one of you for taking a little time out of your schedule, because birthdays mean a lot to me. Especially took on a greater significance 15 years ago when my dad died, because he died on the anniversary, on what turned out to be my mom's 50th birthday. And now technically he died a half hour before the day, but so it reminds it was a reminder to me at that time, and has been since, that each day we should not take it for granted, because we might not be here tomorrow, might not be here a year from now. And so this is the first birthday that I've had without my paternal grandmother. And even last year, when her health was failing, her mind was, slowly shutting down. She was still very, very active at that point, and made an effort to get in touch with me. Now, how many 99-year-old people do you know that have the willpower and the strength to initiate a call or send an email to someone they love and care about? And that really impressed me. Again, thank you all. And probably the most surprising birthday wish I got yesterday came from Joe Napodi. He played Franklin X. Waters on Viper. And Joe and I have talked a little bit on Facebook and such, about, just lighthearted stuff mostly. But he's a really good guy, great comedian, and great actor. And he sent, at least his people sent me a little a cartoon of Yegi Yol, or YegiYolk.com character. It's a character from his new book, Eggy Yolk and the Dirty Dozen. And I look forward to reading that book here in the near future. I ordered a copy from Amazon not too long ago. Just haven't gotten around to reading it yet. But anyway, it says, from one good egg to another, happy birthday. I think you're flipping awesome. And so I'm going to put that on Facebook here in just a little bit and share it with the world. So again, thank you all. Thank you, Joe, for sending that birthday wish. And hope to get you on the program someday. And we can talk about Viper and whatever else is on your mind. Great show that was underrated, to say the least. All right. Well, speaking of underrated shows, we'll continue on with this edition of Haff in the Morning now. And what do you say we play some music, okay, as we inch toward the hour mark. So we got a little ways to go yet. And how about, let's see. Played that one yesterday, so I don't really want to play that again. I think I'll play this one instead, okay? Let's do a little bit of tub thumping. That's a great way to start off a Monday. Get rid of those case of the Mondays on this edition of Haff in the Morning.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. It's in the night away. It's in the night away. He drinks a whiskey drink, he drinks a vodka drink. He drinks a
My advice would be the same advice that I gave President Bush when he won in '04, and kind of wasn't followed. I think you go with the things you know you can pass. Like, for example, way back then, Bush could have passed immigration reform, just like Obama could have when he first came in. And both of them passed on it, so now they leave it for now.
So you think he should start with it?
No, I think he should start with tax reform.
Tax reform
because
first.
I think he's got the votes for it. I think he definitely has the Republican votes for it in House and Senate, and I think he probably has maybe 20% of the Democratic vote for it. So he could get it done with a bipartisan majority.
But people will say, wait a minute. I'm here for the wall. I'm angry. I want the wall, and I want to drain the swamp.
The wall is going to take a while. I'm sure he's going to build it. It's a campaign promise. He's not going to break a campaign
Guys
promise.
in Congress don't want it. On both sides, there's resistance.
Well, he can do it by executive order, by just reprogramming money within the immigration service. And not only that, they have actually approved a wall for certain portions of the border that hasn't even been built yet. So you could take a year building that out with what has been approved.
We're going to do it your way, the dirty way.
I say my hell is the closet I'm stuck inside. Can't see the light. And my heaven is a nice house in the sky. Got central heating, and I'm alright. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can't see the light. Keep it locked up inside. Don't talk about it. Talk about the weather. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can't see the light. Open up my head and let me out. A little baby. let me out.
Hi, friends. Do you want to know what's happening on Haff in the Morning in between shows? Then head on over to tinyurl.com/HafterMedia and click on the Facebook button. It's located in the upper right-hand corner of the screen.
There's no question that at times in my life, partially driven by how passionately I felt about this country, that I worked far too hard, and that things happened in my life that were not appropriate.
Disco radio action. Disco radio action. Get down, get down. 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 Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, get it on. Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, get it on. Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, with the get down. Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, shake it around. Jungle boogie, get up with the get down. Jungle boogie, boogie baby. Jungle boogie, with the boogie. Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, get up with the get down. Jungle boogie, get the boogie. Jungle boogie, jungle boogie, down with the boogie. Get down, 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 boogie, 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 get down, get down, get down, get down, get down, get down. Get it. Feel the funk, y'all. Let it flow. Get down with the boogie. I'm talking about the jungle boogie. Get down. Get down with the boogie. Say, get down. Say, get down. Say, get down. Say, till you feel it, y'all. Get down, y'all. Get down. Get up, y'all. With the get down.
Cool in the Gang and Jungle Boogie on this edition of Haff in the Morning. I don't know why that's showing that it has another minute, 31 seconds left of the song, because that is clearly the end, unless I got some weird bootleg copy there. But you never know what you're going to get on YouTube. Well, Trump says that he'd like to do away with the Electoral College, and yet if it weren't for the Electoral College, he wouldn't have his new job. Apparently, while Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by around 2 million votes last week, Donald Trump became president because of the Electoral College. During his 60 Minutes interview yesterday, my compliments to the editor. Trump says he would like to see elections won with simple votes. You know, you get 100 million votes and somebody else gets 90 million votes and you win. You know, simple. Like my supporters.
I tore down, I'm almost level with the ground. I tore down, I'm almost level with the ground. I feel like this when my baby came down. river to jump in. My baby showed up and said, I will tell you when. Well, I'm tore down, almost level with the ground. Oh, I feel like this when my baby can't be found. Love you, babe, with all my heart and soul. Love like mine will never grow old. Love you in the morning and in the evening too. Every time you leave me, I get mad with you. When I'm tore down, I'm almost level with the ground. Oh, I feel like this when my baby can't be found. Sight. Right for you if you want me to. I really don't believe that your love is true. When I'm tore down, almost level with the ground. Well, I feel like this when my baby can't be found. I'm tore down, almost level with the ground. Tore down, almost level with the ground. Oh, I feel like this when my baby can't be found.
Walk 10 miles on my hands and knees. Ain't no doubt about it, baby, it's you I aim to please. I wrestle with a lion and a grizzly bear. It's my life, baby, but I don't care. Ain't that tough enough? Ain't that tough enough? Ain't that tough enough? Ain't that tough enough? Baby, I would swim the sea. Nothing I do for you that's too tough for me. I put out a burning building with a shovel and dirt, and not even worry about getting hurt. Ain't that tough enough? Ain't that tough enough? Ain't that tough enough? Ain't that tough enough?
Fabulous Thunderbirds on this edition of Haff in the Morning. And that tune always makes me think of Al Bundy from Married with Children fame. Remember the episode where Al took a part-time job as a stripper at a male club, all-male club? Remember that? And he was joking around, "Hey, Peg, I'm bringing home a different kind of green in my underwear tonight, if you know what I mean." You remember that episode? Oh, the things I remember is kind of scary. Well, coming up in just a moment, things that are kind of scary and things that I remember includes today's Top 5 list. That's coming up in just a moment. And today's topic is the top 5 signs you may have picked the wrong dentist. Details on that coming up in just a moment. Top 5 signs you may have picked the wrong dentist. Right now, here is Tom Petty, sometimes the Heartbreakers, as we look for the key to get to the cabin down below on Haff in the Morning.
Come on, go with me, babe. Come on, go with me, girl. Baby, let's go to the cabin down below. I got a radio, put it on soft and low. Baby, let's go to the cabin down below. Well, I've had my eye on you for a long time. I'm watching everything you do. Baby, you're gonna be mine. Well, come on, go with me, babe. Come on, go with me, girl. Baby, let's go to the cabin down below. Since we both got here, come on, slide a little closer. Let me whisper in your ear. Well, I got a radio, turn it on soft and low. Baby, let's go to the cabin down below. Yeah, baby, let's go to the cabin down below. Oh, baby, let's love in the cabin down below.
Well, Dan and Bomani have brought me today's top 5 list, and the topic is the top 5 signs you may have picked the wrong dentist. See, nothing has changed. Here we go. Number 5. Likes to use silly putty for fillings. Number 4. Since he's found outdoors, he prefers to use garden tools. Boy, garden tools. Ouch. Number 3. Ask you to rinse and then spit on him. Kinky. Number 2, offers accidental death policy with every checkup. And the number 1 sign that you may have picked the wrong dentist, sign in the lobby says, Novocaine is for sissies. There's today's top 5 list on this edition of Haff in the Morning.
Okay.
Here's Waylon Jennings, white hair and yellow teeth on Haff in the Morning.
Used to be, that's the way it is now. When I was young, I didn't have a care. I had bright white teeth and yellow hair. Now I don't look quite as sweet with bright white hair and yellow teeth. Yellow teeth, yellow teeth. Tobacco stains don't look so neat. Yeah, now all them old fans you meet say bright white hair and yellow teeth. Yeah. What the hell was that?
When I was young, I was a happy chap. I'd play all day and take a 5-minute nap. Now it just don't work that way. I play 5 minutes and a nap all day. Nap all day, nap all day. Doodly-doo, the time away. I thought I heard my darling say.
He plays 5 minutes and he naps all day.
They're doing it again. Now, when I was young, I had a lot of fun. My nose could smell and my feet could run. But now, I'm afraid it ain't quite as well. I got a nose that runs and feet that smell. Nose that runs and feet that smell. Outside of that, we're doing well. So till we hear that final bell, we'll make a little music and raise a little hell. Make a little music, raise a little hell. What happens next, no one can tell. So who gives a fuck? This don't sell. Make a little music and raise a little hell.
Waylon Jennings and friends on this edition of Haff in the Morning. Have news coming up in just a little bit. We have one more tune before then. You know, the other day, last Thursday, President Obama met with President-elect Donald Trump. My butt does a full quiver whenever I say President-elect Donald Trump, by the way. I'm sure you wanted to know that. Well, anyway, those two met, and also did First Lady Michelle Obama and incoming First Lady Melania Trump. You know, they both sat down together last Thursday at the White House. Michelle thanked Melania for coming to the event, and Melania thanked Michelle. Oh, boy, the joke isn't that funny. Anyway, let's try that again. Michelle thanked Melania for coming, and Melania thanked Michelle for all the speeches. Boy, that would have been funnier if I had got all choked up. Here's the heavy.
Now there was a time when you loved me so I couldn't go wrong. Now you need to know. See, I've been a bad, 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 bad man, and I'm in deep. Yeah, I found a brand new love for this man. Can't wait till you see. I can't wait. So how you like me now? 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 Remember the time when I eat you up. Yeah, I was a lie that you can't give up. If I was to cheat, oh, now would you see right through me? If I sing a sad, 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 sad song, would you give it to me? Would you? So how you like me now? 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 How you like me now?
Does that make you love me, baby? Does that make you want me, baby? Does that make you love me, baby? Does that make you want me, baby?
There's a heavy taking us back a few years on this edition of Haff in the Morning, and how do you like me now? Well, apparently a restaurant sold presidential-themed burritos recently, and the winner of the burrito election is Donald Trump. A Duluth, Minnesota restaurant called Burrito Union has been selling burritos named after the presidential candidates for the past month. The Donald won with 40% of sales. The Hillary burrito received 35% of sales, and the third-party burrito got 25% of the vote. So, even in food, Donald Trump is still the king. Oh, I just can't stand the thought of that.
What's in the news? It's his move.
It's always about fighting for those key squares in the center.
I'm Steve Kaith in CBS News, and that is a world champion's guide to chess. Magnus Carlsen is a 25-year-old Norwegian defending his crown this week in New York City.
Well, the thing is, I feel that I'm still learning. I'm learning all the time. I feel that I know just incomparably much more about chess now than I did, let's say, 6 years ago. But my level of play is not that different.
Carlsen is on top of the chess world now, but he's not perfect.
Michael Jordan says he's the one who's missed the most shots in the history of basketball. So I've lost tens of thousands of chess games, and most recently was, a few days ago on a game I played on the internet.
He played anonymously, of course. His opponent knows who he is.
Yes, Magnus is beatable.
Sergei Karyakin has played him 47 times, beaten him only 8 times. 21 have ended in a draw. Karyakin was 12 when he was the youngest person ever to be named a Grand Master of the sport. Carlsen made it at 13. Now the Norwegian expects to hold his title.
The recent games we've played, I feel like I've had the psychological edge. I have confidence that I can beat him. Also, I have the advantage, I think, of being a better chess player.
Now this.
Look what the computer wizards at Apple have come up with now. It has the power of these 2 computers, a built-in disk drive. It can run over 10,000 different programs. You get everything you need to hook it right up to your TV. You can even add a mouse. Introducing the Apple IIc. Now comes the real magic. You can take it home for under $1,300.
Isn't the color a little dark?
Believe me, you'll get used to it.
These days, it's pretty hard to get things done your way. But not at Burger King.
2 Whoppers and 2 chocolate chicks.
Could we have the Whoppers with extra ketchup on them? Sure.
See, Burger King doesn't make all its delicious 100% pure beef hamburgers ahead of time. You want your Whopper built some special way, you get it without a lot of waiting.
Have it your way, Burger King.
What's in the news? I'm Steve Kaith in CBS News.
My morning commentary is brought to you by the good people at Washington Federal. My wife and I choose to bank with Washington Federal for a few reasons. They're responsible with my money, which is always a good thing for a bank. They actually like face-to-face interaction, and they believe a bank should be the foundation of a healthy community. Washington Federal, invested here. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. For the last week, I've been hearing from some pretty upset people. Since last Tuesday, they feel like they've been living in an episode of South Park. But now Donald Trump is starting to walk back some of his promises, and the never-Trumpers are salivating for his comeuppance because they know he has promised things no president can deliver, and that the only way he can succeed as president is if he fails at keeping most of his promises. In fact, after Obama and Trump had their cordial meeting at the White House, Press Secretary Josh Earnest was asked about that.
When you and the president say that you hope Donald Trump is successful, given that the president has said that he sees Trump as having the potential to undermine democracy, wouldn't it be fair to say that you don't want him to be successful?
Well, that's a good question.
It is a good question. For example, Trump's promise to repeal Obamacare actually doesn't include repealing one of its key features, the part that allows you to buy health insurance even though you're already sick. And that's a big deal because once he allows that, he'll have to find a way to force everybody to buy insurance. Otherwise, people would just wait until they're sick to start paying premiums and the system would go bankrupt. But would it be fair to bash him for that? Would it be fair to bash him for breaking a promise that would have hurt more people than it helped? And suppose he decides that the wall and that waterboarding also are not such good ideas. Would it be fair to bash him for changing his mind? Or would it be best to simply welcome the prodigal son back to the land of reality and celebrate with a really nice Trump steak?
The Osgood File. This is Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network. During the campaign, President-elect Donald Trump promised to build a wall along the border with Mexico. On 60 Minutes last night, Leslie Stahl asked him,
"Are you really going to build a wall?"
Yes.
They're talking about a fence in the Republican Congress. Would you accept a fence?
For certain areas, I would, but certain areas the wall is more appropriate. I'm very good at this. This is called construction. But
so part wall, part fence?
Yeah, it could be. There could be some fencing.
Leslie Stahl asked President-elect Trump about another of his campaign pledges.
What about the pledge to deport millions and millions of undocumented immigrants?
What we are going to do is get the people that are criminal and have criminal records, gang members, drug dealers. We have a lot of these people. Probably 2 million, it could even be 3 million. We're getting them out of our country or we're going to incarcerate. But we're getting them out of our country. They're here illegally.
As for the rest of the undocumented immigrants in this country, the ones who are not known criminals, Mr. Trump told Stahl,
after the border is secured and after everything gets normalized, we're going to make a determination on the people that you're talking about, who are terrific people. They're terrific people. But we're going to make a determination at that. But before we make that determination, Leslie, it's very important. We want to secure our border.
The Osgood File. I'll see you online at Facebook, Twitter, and at theosgoodfile.com. This is Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
I'll have the CBS World News Roundup for you in just a moment. In the meantime, if you've ever wanted... Why is it that as soon as I turn the microphone on, I start coughing? Okay, let's try that again. If you've ever wanted to make a plane land quickly, just take off your clothes and threaten to kill your fellow passengers. That's what 34-year-old Oliver G. apparently and allegedly did, and he's now facing up to 20 years in jail. The Condor charter flight he was on from Cancun to Frankfurt had to make an emergency landing in the United States after G caused some disruption. The British national, who lives in Mexico, has now been charged and arrested. G has allegedly demanded to be served alcohol even before takeoff and was behaving aggressively. After takeoff, he allegedly threatened to kill another passenger and then threatened and intimidated a 3-year-old child. According to accounts from other passengers, G wanted to urinate in the cabin, but was helped to the toilet by a flight attendant and a passenger who volunteered to help. G then allegedly slapped both of them before threatening that he knew people in Mexico that would gladly kill for him. G was restrained by the passenger and the flight attendant, and the American authorities were warned about the emergency landing. The FBI met him on the tarmac when the plane was diverted to Jacksonville, Florida, after which the plane continued its journey to Frankfurt. And you know what? He was still late for his destination.
The new president's new vision.
Are you really going to build a wall?
Yes.
Anti-Trump forces on the march. Prosecutor questions WikiLeaks founder.
He's finally getting an opportunity to tell his side of the story.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kathan with the CBS World News Roundup. Don't be afraid, says Donald Trump to his political opponents in his first major broadcast interview since Election Day. The president-elect told CBS's Leslie Stahl on 60 Minutes he'll be true to his word on illegal immigrants and a wall on the country's border with Mexico.
They're talking about a fence in the Republican Congress.
Sure.
Would you accept a fence?
For certain areas, I would, but certain areas the wall is more appropriate. I'm very good at this. This is called construction. But
so part wall, part fence?
Yeah, it could be. There could be some fencing.
And he vowed his administration will crack down on illegal immigrants who've broken the law.
What we are going to do is get the people that are criminal and have criminal records, gang members, drug dealers. We have a lot of these people. Probably 2 million. It could even be 3 million. We're getting them out of our country or we're going to incarcerate.
Mr. Trump said he will appoint a conservative justice to the Supreme Court. Liberals fear that will clear the way for the overturning of the landmark abortion decision Roe versus Wade.
I'm pro-life. The judges will be pro-life. If it ever were overturned, it would go back to the states. So it would go back to the states.
Some women won't be able to get an abortion.
No, it'll go back to the states.
By state? No, some...
Yeah. Well, they'll perhaps have to go to another state.
And on same-sex marriage.
Do you support marriage equality?
It's irrelevant because it was already settled. It's law. It was settled in the Supreme Court. I mean, it's done.
So even if you appoint a judge that...
It's done. You have These cases have gone to the Supreme Court. They've been settled. I'm fine with that.
The president-elect said Obamacare will be replaced, but indicated he backs the provisions on pre-existing conditions and children remaining on parents' plans up to age 26. Mr. Trump indicated he'd take a $1 salary for the job of president, and he addressed people who pushed a pro-Trump message to the extreme.
Don't do it. That's terrible, because I'm going to bring this country together.
They're harassing Latinos, Muslims.
I am so saddened to hear that, and I say stop it.
An Episcopal church in a Latino neighborhood outside Washington, D.C. was vandalized. The phrase Trump Nation Whites Only written on the wall of that church in Silver Spring, Maryland, and on a church banner that was slashed. Marianne Buddy is head of the Episcopal Diocese of Washington.
Hate speech has covered the signs of this church, and we stand here to say that we are firm in our rejection of such violence.
Anti-Trump protesters were out again last night in many major cities, from Philadelphia to Chicago.
Not my president or vice president. Not my
This protester on the streets of Santa Ana, California.
The point of protest was really just to spread awareness and is a way of educating people.
We're learning more about those who will be closest to the 45th president. Here's CBS's Steve Futterman.
The first two major appointments reflect a way to appeal to both traditional conservatives and the so-called alt-right. GOP Party Chairman Reince Priebus represents traditional views. As chief of staff, he is expected to help the Trump administration establish ties with leaders on Capitol Hill. Priebus was on NBC's Today Show.
I've learned to get to know President-elect Trump. It has worked, and it has been a great partnership.
The choice of arch-conservative Steve Bannon to be chief strategist is more controversial. Bannon has been accused by some of anti-Semitic views, something he denies. Ibrahim Hooper is with the Council on American-Islamic Relations.
Promoted anti-woman, anti-Muslim, and racist content.
Speculation continues as to who will be part of a Trump cabinet. Top names being mentioned include Rudy Giuliani, Newt Gingrich. Radio talk show host Laura Ingraham is being mentioned as a possible press secretary. And there are reports that President Obama plans to spend more time with his successor to help guide him with the enormity of hiring a full White House staff. Steve Futterman, CBS News, New York.
Prosecutors are finally getting a chance to question WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange at the Ecuadorian embassy in London. Live to the British capital in CBS's Vicky Barker.
Assange's lawyer, Jennifer Robinson, says her client still fears Sweden will hand him over to U.S. prosecutors if he returns there to answer the 2010 sexual assault allegations.
Sweden has refused to provide assurances against onward extradition to the United States. Without those assurances, it's not possible for him to go to Sweden without renouncing that fundamental right.
Some Assange supporters are placing their hope in Donald Trump. He praised WikiLeaks when it released emails about Hillary Clinton during the campaign. They're hoping President Trump will press the Justice Department to close its investigation into the leaks of State Department and Pentagon cables. Steve?
A tourist town in New Zealand appears to have suffered the most damage after a magnitude 7.8 earthquake. John Leggett is mayor of a nearby town.
Emergency teams have reached Kaikoura. It's been cut off by road from both north and south. Kaikoura has no water or sewage.
The quake is blamed for at least 2 deaths and caused minor damage in the capital, Wellington, 120 miles to the north. Also a strong earthquake in northwestern Argentina, but no reports of major damage or injury. Well, young and old have been getting a good look at the moon.
It's big, pretty, and shiny.
It's big and bright and full, and the supermoon, as it's called, is at its closest to Earth in about 69 years. It appears 14% bigger and 30% brighter. And there will still be good viewing tonight. Looking ahead in 2034, astronomers say the moon will be even closer. A new 10-year study on the arthritis drug Celebrex finds it's not any riskier for the heart than any other prescription painkillers. The study was launched after the competing drug Vioxx was pulled from store shelves for its links to heart attacks. Well, the singer-songwriter Leon Russell died yesterday, 4 months after heart bypass surgery.
I'm up on the tight wire. One side's ice and one is fire.
Tightrope in 1972 was his biggest hit. Artists from Aretha Franklin to Willie Nelson covered his songs. But Russell, who is 74, will be remembered for collaborating with just about everyone in music. Played piano and other instruments on records from the Beach Boys to Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones to Frank Sinatra. President Obama's final overseas trip will take him to 3 countries. White House correspondent Pam Coulter.
The president's trip to Greece, Germany, and the APEC summit in Peru will see him meeting with parties to the Iran nuclear deal, the Paris Climate Accord, and the TPP trade deal, all criticized by the man in line to succeed him. Deputy National Security Advisor Ben Rhodes said they're pushing forward on those accords.
We will, of course, fully continue to implement our commitments under the Iran deal, under the Paris Agreement.
He said they are well aware that the new administration could take a different path. Pam Coulter, CBS News, the White House.
Gary Johnson's planning a trip too. The former New Mexico governor who ran for president as a libertarian says he has no regrets about it all. He's 63 years old, and he is a bicyclist. He's planning now a 3,000-mile ride along the Continental Divide for next June. That's the World News Roundup for Monday, the 14th of November. I'm Steve Kathan, CBS News.
Thank you very much, Steve Kathan. On this edition of Haff in the Morning, I'll have the Showbiz Minute in just a moment. In the meantime, remember how Colin Kaepernick started the whole take a knee during the national anthem thing as a protest for change? After all that, he refused to vote in last Tuesday's general election. I guess he's just hoping the social change fairy will soon appear. What's going on there? Well, speaking of the NFL Players Association is going to study marijuana as a pain management tool for players. It's all part of a softening of the league's position on pot. For example, they're even thinking of changing one team's name to the Cleveland Brownies.
AP Showbiz Minute. Musician Leon Russell, a top session player in the 60s and 70s, who later had a successful solo career, has died aged 74. Russell, who died in Nashville, had heart bypass surgery in July and was recovering from that at the time of his death. Russell played backup for Joe Cocker, Bob Dylan, the Beach Boys and many other artists, and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2011. Pink is expecting her second child with husband Carey Hart. The baby news was confirmed over the weekend by Pink's publicist after the singer posted a baby bump shot with 5-year-old daughter Willow on Instagram. Marvel's Doctor Strange leads the North American box office for the second week with $43 million. Trolls, the musical animated release with Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake, also held well in its second week with $35 million, while Denis Villeneuve's science fiction thriller Arrival took $24 million. This is Matt Kemp with AP Showbiz Minute.
This Marketplace podcast is brought to you by Brandeis International Business School. Learn to network, study, or conduct business around the world with global dexterity, an award-winning book on stepping out of your cultural comfort zone. Get a free copy from Brandeis International Business School at brandeis.edu/podcast.
The role Washington lobbyists could play in a Trump administration. From Marketplace in New York, I'm Mark Garrison in for David Brancaccio. President-elect Trump has promised to shake up the Washington system, but there certainly are a lot of beltway lobbyists on his transition team. Marketplace's Kimberly Adams joins us live from D.C. Kimberly, these folks are kind of like HR, I guess we could think of them, for the administration. What are they actually doing?
Right, so they're responsible for helping Trump decide who's going to get a key policy position or identify administration priorities. It's important who's on this team because what comes out of the transition team will shape what the administration is going to look like. Of course, there's no guarantee that members of the transition team will actually get administration jobs.
Now, Trump on the campaign trail, he would always attack Washington insiders, but here they are helping pick out his administration. How's he explaining this?
Well, yeah, there are former members of Congress who are now lobbyists, plus regular lobbyists, and business leaders with vested interest in major industries. Trump was asked about this contrast specifically during a 60 Minutes interview that aired this weekend.
We're doing a lot of things to clean up the system, but everybody that works for government, they then leave government and they become a lobbyist essentially. The whole place is it's one big lobbyist.
Right. His argument being that the people who know Washington are pretty much the insiders.
President Obama, as a candidate, also talked of trying to limit the role of lobbyists in his administration, but it didn't quite work out that way. Explain I don't know, how hard is it to do this, to run an administration without these lobbyists, it seems?
Apparently very hard. Obama made similar promises about blocking lobbyists when he was headed into office, just like Trump is now. But still, if you look at Trump's plan for his first 100 days in office, 3 of his 6 strategies pegged to cleaning up corruption are about reducing the role of lobbyists.
Okay, Marketplace's Kimberly Adams in Washington. Thanks.
You're welcome, Mark.
Doctors across the country say women are reaching out with new concerns about birth control access under a Trump administration. Under Obamacare, virtually all insurance plans must include birth control pills, IUDs, and other FDA-approved services without charging co-payments. From our health desk at WHYY in Philadelphia, Marketplace's Dan Gorenstein reports.
28-year-old Wenwen Yang from Texas wasted no time after the election.
I called my gynecologist and told her that I needed to move up my April appointment to December.
Yang plans to get a new IUD that will last 5 years. Overnight, she says, birth control issues have blown up in her social circle.
There's been before Trump and then there's after Trump. So in this after Trump time, it is just, my Facebook feed is just full of women basically saying, I have this, you should get it now.
Legal scholars agree President-elect Trump could cut these services as soon as he takes office, since this part of Obamacare was done through executive action rather than Congress. While that process would likely take months or longer, UCLA law professor Joe Horwitz says women should know they may have to pay more for birth control.
The big picture here is that people could easily lose access.
Horwitz says insurers have baked the cost of contraception into this year's premiums. It may prove to be popular enough that insurers keep the benefit, even if the administration undoes the mandate. I'm Dan Gorenstein for Marketplace.
And let's do the numbers. Stocks are up in global trading. In the UK, shares are up 0.4%. In Germany, up 0.3%. Asian markets closed mixed. Some Democrats looking for answers are focused on a surprisingly weak showing from organized labor. Unions did come out for Hillary Clinton, but not in the same numbers as they did for President Obama previously. That helped the Trump campaign pull off surprise wins in states like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. From the Marketplace desk at Oregon Public Broadcasting, Mitchell Hartman reports on what happened and what's ahead.
Here's Randy Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, at a rally in Florida just before the election.
Are we going to vote for our future? Are we going to vote for good jobs?
The union had thousands of members phone banking and knocking on doors nationwide.
Labor put its shoulder to the wheel and worked hard to elect Clinton.
Peter Alney, former organizing director for the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, says the traditional get-out-the-vote effort just failed to deliver.
Labor was not able to convince its members in the significant ways that it had done for Obama to vote for the Democratic nominee.
Exit polls show Clinton won union households nationwide 51 to 43%, but President Obama won them by nearly 60%. Peter Alney thinks a more anti-Wall Street, anti-free trade Democratic message would have cut into Trump's appeal. Jan Soltis, a former UAW auto worker at a Chrysler plant in northern Illinois, agrees.
I'm angry, just like everybody else. I'm still hurting from the recession. You hear about everything being great. It's really not for everybody.
Soltis supported Bernie Sanders in the primaries and didn't vote for either major party candidate in the general election. She says a lot of union auto workers she knows bucked the UAW's endorsement of Clinton and backed Trump.
Even if they're at Chrysler, you work twice as hard at what was once a really good job, and you weren't going to make the same money as the people before you.
Just the kind of blue-collar backsliding Donald Trump promised to fix as he went after traditional Democratic working-class voters. Economist Michael Strain at the conservative American Enterprise Institute says Democrats must now be asking themselves
whether the traditional coalition and traditional allies, of which labor unions were a huge part, came through and is enough.
Especially as unions struggle to keep their membership from shrinking even more under a Trump presidency. I'm Mitchell Hartman for Marketplace.
And finally, Samsung is making a play for your car. It's buying auto parts supplier Harman for $8 billion. The move gives the electronics company a seat at the table as cars become higher tech and more connected. In New York, I'm Mark Garrison with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.
This Marketplace podcast is brought to you by Saturn Systems, a domestic alternative to offshore and metro outsourcing, partnering with customers to deliver custom software and quality assurance services for over 25 years. More at SaturnSys.com.
It's Marketplace Tech for November 14th. I'm Ben Johnson in New York. Last week, when the country elected Donald Trump to be our next president, voters in several states also passed recreational marijuana initiatives, including Massachusetts, Nevada, Maine, and California. This means a lot of things, but one thing it means is opportunities for the growing number of techie cannabis startups. Some of these cannabis startups come from a California-based incubator called Gateway. Get it? But it's no joke. California officials think the initiative will bring in a cool $1 billion in new annual tax revenue. So Gateway's co-founders expect to be involved in some serious business. Carter Laren is one of them. Hi, Carter. Thanks for chatting.
Thanks for having me.
Why do you think there's potential for a lot of growth in cannabis-focused tech startups?
As you may know, cannabis is the fastest growing industry in the U.S. As of Tuesday, the market size basically doubled overnight for cannabis. And because it's been underground for so long, and there was a black market and then kind of a gray market, a lot of the typical business sophistication and business tools surrounding the industry that you would expect from an industry aren't there.
Haven't been built yet.
Yeah, and as these businesses come into the light, suddenly there's opportunity for people to start providing some of the tools and equipment needed to efficiently operate a business.
Right. So what are the tools and the equipment needed?
Yeah, I mean, so one of the obvious things is basically inventory management and control and regulation compliance. You'll have people who build seed-to-sale tracking systems, for example. There's also a lot of agricultural technology that can be developed. If you look at the margins for cannabis as compared to other agricultural products, it's literally orders of magnitude higher. And so I think what you'll see is some really cool agricultural technology come out of the cannabis industry, and once it's developed in the cannabis industry, I think it will be applicable to other agricultural commodities.
Are VCs really buying into this right now?
Yes. I mean, I think a lot of people were sitting on the sidelines waiting until Tuesday to see which way the tide was going to flow.
What do you think the Trump administration means for this industry?
I don't actually think it's really going to change at the federal level in the short term. Okay. I don't expect him to do anything great, but I don't expect him to really change anything. I think it's going to be status quo.
Carter Laren is co-founder of the Cannabis Business and Startup Incubator. Carter, thank you very much.
Sure, thanks for having me.
Hear that? It's the sound of a blockbuster that had almost no words in it. WALL-E, the Pixar movie from 2008 about a lonely robot. Pixar is now owned by Disney, which announced earnings a few days ago with a pretty positive outlook for the near future. It was not always so for Pixar, though, a struggling tech firm owned by Steve Jobs. A new book detailing the company's rise to success is out from Pixar's former CFO, Lawrence Levy. Title, To Pixar and Beyond, My Unlikely Journey with Steve Jobs to Make Entertainment History. Lawrence, thanks for coming by. 3D animation became a great venue for filmmakers, but that wasn't really Steve Jobs' original plan?
Not at all. I think Pixar was brought to be a technology company, a graphics company, and in the first years, the animation was a way to test out the graphics.
Really?
Yeah.
It was like the guinea pig.
It was like the guinea pig. So animation was, you're doing this super high-end 3D graphics, and animation and 3D imagery was the way to test it and see if it would work.
When you first came to Pixar, you were shown a brief and I guess incomplete clip from Toy Story. And you say that you witnessed a level of creative and technical wizardry that you could have never imagined. Tell me about how Pixar got there, how Pixar made this thing.
Pixar innovated on two fronts. On the first was the technology, and it had to create a proprietary animation system in order to give the level of emotionality that it needed to these three-dimensional images that were basically on a computer screen. And at the same time, there was the story. You know, it took years to hone the storytelling capability that Pixar had. John Lasseter used to say, right, great graphics will keep us in our seats for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's story that keeps us in the seats for 90 minutes.
How did having Jobs, this tech guy, as CEO affect Pixar?
Keep in mind that for all of Pixar's history until that point, Steve had never worked at Pixar. He had been running Next Computer.
Right.
You can imagine they had this sort of delicate, very familial sort of hugging culture at Pixar, and they sort of lived in fear that what they perceived as this sort of tyrannical Steve Jobs that they read about.
But he understood creativity. Is that fair to say?
I think he understood creativity on the technical side, like on the software, hardware kind of side, but storytelling creativity, that's something different. And I think that that's something that we both together had to learn.
What did you learn about the way that the company functioned that people should be thinking about when they want to make the next Pixar?
There are always different forces pulling against each other. So creative force, you have the technical force, and you have the business force. These things don't always align. And
Don't I know it?
What Pixar did brilliantly is first to recognize that those tensions are there and that that's not a bad thing. It's a natural thing. It's a good thing. But then work on harmonizing those tensions as best you can.
Lawrence Levy, he's the author of To Pixar and Beyond, My Unlikely Journey with Steve Jobs to Make Entertainment History. Lawrence, thank you very much for coming by.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
And question, who is your favorite Pixar character? Tough call for me. I'm partial to that baby from The Incredibles. The kid had a lot of natural talents. Tweet me yours and tell me why. I'm at the Brock Johnson, and that's our show today. This is APM.
This Marketplace podcast is brought to you by Avast, a digital security company dedicated to protecting you online against hackers, malware, and those that want to do you harm online. The internet is a wonderful place, whether you're an online gamer, social media fanatic, or online shopper, but there are people on the internet who can make it not so wonderful. Avast keeps these bad guys at bay so you can love your internet again without worry. Learn more at avast.com.
You're listening to yours truly, Joe Hafner, here on this edition of Haff in the Morning for the 14th day of November, 2016. And what do you say we take a little trip through history? A humorous take on historical events, all right? Starting off with, William of Orange was born in the state in 1650. William of Orange, born in the state in 1650. English poets almost pulled a muscle trying to rhyme his name. The best they could come up with was Doorhenge. On the state in 1832, Charles Carroll, the last surviving signer of the Declaration of Independence, died at the age of 95 years. The British had said, "Sign that document and you die." And eventually, he did. See, it was cursed. Everyone who signed the Declaration of Independence is dead. Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Also on the state in 1832, the very first horse-drawn trolley cars appeared in New York City. You know, people were amazed. Who knew horses could draw? You know, it wasn't long until there was a graffiti on the horses. You know, this would be a lot funnier if I had a drum roll, but screw it. You know, they even had smoother sailing when they stopped feeding the horse a bean-focused diet. Ooh. You know, how would you like to be asked into that? You know, the next day, the streetcar had just been hijacked and the horse was found up on blocks. Okay, enough horse jokes. On the state in 1851, Moby Dick was first published. You know, it's one thing to be a great whale, a white whale, but also an author. I mean, how do you type with those fins? Well, that's more of a seal, but you get the idea. How many were surprised that a great white whale could even write? That's even a bigger surprise. On the state in 1896, the power plant at Niagara Falls was turned on. You know, very handy for those honeymoon couples suffering from a power outage. You know, need a little help there. It was on the state in the year 1900 that Watertown, New York was paralyzed with 45 inches of snow in only 24 hours. The shoveling occurred in real time, so some of the drifts were so deep, people had to dig down 20 feet just to clean their chimneys. And finally, on the state in 1968, Yale University went co-ed. Up until that time, women weren't allowed in the school, only in the dorms.
November 14th, 1940. One of the most devastating bombing raids during World War II. Hundreds of Nazi Germany's warplanes destroy most of the English town of Coventry. 1851. Herman Melville's novel Moby Dick, the tale about the pursuit of the great white whale, is published. 1889. Inspired by author Jules Verne, Nellie Bly sets out to travel around the world in less than 80 days. Bly, a reporter for the New York World, succeeds, making the trip in 72 days. 1943.
Leonard Bernstein has come out on the platform and will presently lead the Philharmonic Symphony in our national anthem.
Leonard Bernstein makes his conducting debut with the New York Philharmonic. The 25-year-old assistant conductor fills in for the ailing Bruno Walter during a nationally broadcast concert. And 1900. Aaron Copland, one of America's leading composers of the 20th century, is born in New York City. Today in history, November 14th. Camille Bohannon, The Associated Press.
The Writer's Almanac podcast is supported by SignatureReads.com, a reader and writer-focused website now offering listeners a free guide to writing advice featuring famous authors at SignatureReads.com/writing.
And here is the Writer's Almanac for Monday, the 14th of November, 2016. It's the birthday of Astrid Lindgren, born in Vimmerby, Sweden, 1907, grew up on a farm in southern Sweden. One day, her daughter Karin was sick in bed, so the mother started telling her stories about a strong, spunky girl who makes fun of adults, gets by just fine without a family. And that girl was Pippi Longstocking. She had a pet monkey, magical powers, bright red pigtails. The story was published in Sweden as Pippi Långstrumpa in 1945. It's the birthday of William Steig, born New York City, 1907. The New Yorker bought his first cartoon when he was just 23 years old. He collected them in many books, including Small Fry, Spinky Sulks, Our Miserable Life. It was only late in his life that William Steig began writing books for children. And in 1990, he wrote Shrek, about a green ogre. The name Shrek means fear in Yiddish. He has nightmares about fields of flowers and happy children who keep hugging and kissing him. Eventually, Shrek meets an ugly princess. They fall instantly in love. And the book ends with the line, "And they lived horribly ever after, scaring the socks off all who fell afoul of them." And it's the birthday of Claude Monet, born in Paris, 1840, who, along with his friend Auguste Renoir, took their canvases outside to paint directly from nature, working as quickly as they could, so their paintings looked like sketches, and that sketchy style became known as Impressionism. In the last 30 years of his life, Monet painted almost nothing but the water lilies in his garden at Giverny. 4 acres where he built the bridges, dug the lake, selected all the flowers and plants himself. Monet, who said, "I am following nature without being able to grasp her. I perhaps owe having become a painter to flowers." Here's a poem for today by Marge Piercy, Remnants Still Visible. Robins migrate, all school children learn, but here on the Cape, every winter a flock forms and stays long, frigid months after their compatriots have flown south. They live deep in the woods on hips and berries, weazened by cold. Sometimes they appear here among the feeder birds, 1 or 2, almost outcasts. Off Alaska, when humpback whales leave in fall as the waters freeze and the world turns white, heading for mating grounds off Hawaii and Mexico, certain whales remain. What makes a creature stay when almost all of its kind have moved on? In burned-out areas of Detroit, you'll notice one house still wears curtains, a bike locked to the porch. Sometimes in the suburbs, among tract houses with carpets of grass, one farmhouse lurks, maybe even with a barn. I imagine its owner, gray and stubborn, still growing the best tomatoes for miles, refusing to plant inedible grass, fighting neighbors about her chickens, a rooster who crows at 4, her clothesline a flag of defiance. A poem by Marge Piercy, Remnants Still Visible, from Made in Detroit, published by Alfred A. Knopf, and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac, supported by Lumosity, with a 10-minute fit test to calculate baseline scores and training programs with 50 challenging brain games. Learn more at lumosity.com. And by Staples, with copy and print solutions for small business, including color copies, presentations, and custom holiday cards. More in stores or staples.com. Staples, make more happen. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.
This is the Composer's Datebook for November 14th. I'm John Zach. When Professor Harold Hill in The Music Man talks about the time when W.C. Handy, the great creator, and John Philip Sousa all came to town on the very same day, that day must have been November 14th, because in America's music history, this was a day of synchronicity. For starters, it's the birthday of Aaron Copland, who was born in New York City on today's date in 1900. And then there's all that happened on November 14th in the life of Leonard Bernstein. Here's how Bernstein himself explained it. I never forget a Copland birthday, because 2 of the most important events of my life happened on November 14th. The first in 1937, when Aaron and I met for the first time. Now, I worried and complained terrifically back then, and always took my troubles to Aaron, who would tell me to stop whining. He seemed to have such complete confidence in me that he didn't show a bit of surprise when on Sunday, November 14th, 1943, I made a dramatic success by filling in for the ailing Bruno Walter and conducting the New York Philharmonic. All Aaron's predications came true, and on his birthday. As if that weren't enough, in 1954, again on Copland's birthday, Leonard Bernstein appeared on a live omnibus television broadcast, presenting Beethoven's draft sketches for the opening of his Fifth Symphony. Bernstein's TV debut was also a smash success, and led directly to his subsequent series of televised young persons concerts that brought classical music to millions of Americans coast to coast. Copland and Bernstein, a powerful double play. For more on other composers as well, go to our website, composersdatebook.org. Composer's Datebook is a production of APM, American Public Media, and the American Composers Forum, reminding you that all music was once new.
And that's going to wrap it up for today's edition of Haff in the Morning for the 14th day of November, 2016. I'll be back on tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock for another program of said name, and hope you'll join me then. A reminder, please drop me an email at halfinthemorning@gmail.com. That's HAFF in the morning @gmail.com. Also, be sure to check out my Facebook page, as well as the sponsors page, and a whole lot more at tinyurl.com/HafterMedia. tinyurl.com/HafterMedia. And maybe tomorrow my voice will return to normal. I hope so. This crud or whatever I've got in my system is really wreaking havoc, and it's getting quite old. Just like my underwear. I'm sure you wanted to know that. Well, in the immortal words of the late, great Jack Larkin, my time is up. Thank you for yours.
God bless America. To
We're doing something that's incredible. It's a movement. But if we don't win, all it is a little asterisk in history. There's never been anything like this. So go and register. Make sure you get out and vote November 28th.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.